Welcome to the local history archival records here at the Golden Library. We do have the operational records for several of our local organizations. These include membership rosters, minutes, and newsletters. However, the greatest portion of what we hold for women's clubs are scrapbooks. These are wonderful artifacts that provide insight not only into the operations and service completed by the organizations, but it is also a space in which they get to tell their own story in their own voice. First, let me talk to you some about our purely service-oriented groups. Our first group that I'm going to talk about today is the Pink Ladies. That's the unofficial name of the Roosevelt General Hospital Auxiliary Incorporated. They're founded in 1963, and this organization is made up of volunteers within the community who have an interest in helping the hospital by managing the gift shop, delivering flower arrangements to patients, providing information to visitors, and having community bake sales and garage sales. All proceeds earned from the auxiliary activities provide monetary assistance to the hospital for the purchase of hospital-related items. In addition, they also establish a scholarship fund designated for scholarships for Roosevelt County students that go to ENMU and to our local community college. We have some records from this organization, but we also have scrapbooks from 1963 to 1995. And here's an example of one of them from the 70s. And you'll see that there are newspaper clippings, so you can feel free to come browse our online, our digitized newspapers, but most of these clubs have already gone through the effort for decades of cutting out their clippings about their own organizations and putting them in these newspapers. The Portales Women's Club is part of the General Federation of Women's Clubs, which has been a unifying force bringing together local women's clubs from around the country and throughout the world. Although there's considerable diversity in ages, interest, and experience for these club women, they're all united by the dedication to community for improvement through community service. So we have holdings for both the Portales Women's Club and the Elidas Women's Club. The Portales Club is still active. They were recently recognized by the Portales Municipal School District at the board meeting for donating much-needed clothing to School Closet. We have 41 containers of materials from the Portales organization dating from 1912 to 2007. Here we have an example of one of our scrapbooks. And you'll see what some clubs will do is they'll have their constitution in their scrapbook for that year. So you'll have information not only about their mission for that year, but also who was a member of that year. We'll often have a membership roster. We also have minutes from the Portales Women's Club. So here's our first minutes from 1920. As you'll see, you need to be up on your handwriting for some of these, practicing that penmanship and cursive reading. We have the Portales Women's Club, as I said, 1912 to 2007. So there's more scrapbooks that are coming that have been given to understand. This is over 100 years of history for this county in this one organization's records. We also have a recorded oral history interview with Ruby Mears about the organization that is available digitally to anyone, anywhere in the world on our BiblioBoard platform. And this is accessible from our library homepage under Special Collection Oral Histories. We have 6 containers of materials from the Elida organization dating from 1930 to 1969. And they're predominantly scrapbooks, but some are records such as minutes. I previously mentioned the Philanthropic Educational Organization, and we have scrapbooks dating from 1939 to 2000. I haven't yet been able to discover if this chapter is still active. It seems like some of these chapters may have drifted off in the 90s or 2000s, but it's also possible that their web presence is low and they just have not given me the materials. So if you're out there, I've still got your stuff. We have place on the shelf. Some of our other organizations that are not philanthropic and service focused, but still do a lot of great work, as you'll be able to see in their records. I mentioned previously the AAUW, and we also have the Business and Professional Women's Club And they're both organizations that support women in professional settings through advocacy, education, and programs. The AAUW, we have Scrapbooks and Records from 1938 to 1988. And the Business and Professional Women's Club, we have records for almost the same time period, early 30s to the early 80s. The Daughters of the American Revolution El Portal chapter, we have minutes and scrapbooks from 1966 to 2019. This chapter is still very active, as you can tell by how recent this material is, so we expect more materials to come in the future. For the United Daughters of the Confederacy, we have a similar amount of materials. We hold minutes, correspondence, and scrapbooks, with the bulk dating from 1962 to 2011, but we do have one from 1914. Magazine holdings date from 1935 to 1986. We have a single box from the Democratic Women. This is a political organization, obviously, and they've since combined with the Roosevelt County Democratic Party, it seems, but you can see some of the works that they have done separately. The Beta Sigma Phi International is a non-academic sorority, and we have some records from the Preceptor Gamma chapter, and with scrapbooks and minutes from 1947 to 2001. So, Roosevelt County was created in 1903, but the earliest organizational records we hold are from the 1910s. Perhaps there needed to be enough women in the county to even begin to form an organization. However, you may have noticed that the records for several of our organizations began in the 1930s. Could these groups, whether local or chapters of national organizations, have formed in response to a need for service during the Great Depression? I would love for researchers to come and explore and answer this and other questions. Those interested in our collections can find a box-level inventory on the ENMU Special Collections page under Special Collections Archival Materials section. You can download this inventory for easy browsing. You can also browse our digitized newspapers here on site to learn more about these organizations, though many clippings, as I said, have already been added to the scrapbooks by their own organizations. My contact information can be found on the Special Collections page, which you can find easily on the library's webpage at enmu.edu/library. Not sure what you're looking for? You'll never know unless you contact me or take a look. Better yet, just come and take a visit yourself.